episode of Multiplayer. We are back with a whole new week of brand new news!
Say what?
Say what?
Yeah! No.
I know, right? We should have like a fucking soundboard, like news.
We'll get
like,
there.
This will be like some morning show.
I know. This is now welcome to your morning DJ show, Multiplayer.
I'm Zany Zach. We got a slippery hub over here.
Slippery Hub. How to get that name? Find out now. Welcome, guys, to another episode. I promise we're going to be talking about video games, but first we got to get all the stuff out of the way, talking about our energy, about how excited we are about this month, man. There's shit going down. Things are happening.
So much. Way
So
too
much. But before we get into that, I want to go ahead and let you guys know that if you're watching this on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/multiplayer, you can also listen to this on a podcast, which we have available on iTunes, and Google Play, and another platform that we're trying to develop ourselves, YouTunes. And if you're listening to this on our
Copyright.
podcast services, you can also watch this in all of its visual splendor at our YouTube channel. Now, we have one more thing, and that is our Patreon page. If you go and check that out, we have some extra content there available to anybody who donates a couple dollars. But if you don't want to do that, you can always come back here and check out our free content. So, let's talk about this stuff. Here's the thing. October's a big deal, but there is a mishmash of huge items on the agenda today, and a couple of little bite-sized bits.
Little titty bits.
Little titty bits, apparently.
Bitty titties.
The first one is the PSVR actually got a kind of a little rehaul situation going on.
Yeah.
Less of a rehaul, more of like a tweak.
A redesign.
It's
Yeah,
just like a
tweak and tweaks.
It's like, hey, you think we should like just kind of move this over here and nudge that a little and just push it out there?
And they're like, what do you think about that? And they're like, yeah, I like that.
Yeah,
That's
sure,
good.
why
That's
not?
good.
You're like, what do you think about that?
Yeah. I'm at the
I was
Sony
their
boardroom.
Sony's
It's like,
consultant. Essentially, the PSVR, they are releasing a newer version, which now has the headphone jack and stuff coming right into the front of the headset itself. It goes into the back, making it a little bit cleaner.
Yep.
And then also, what you used to have to do in the PSVR is you would have to disconnect the unit and restart the system in order to like view any HDR content. But no more, says Sony.
Whoa!
Which is like something that it just feels like that was an intuitive thing that they should have had to begin with. You know, you should be able to easily switch that on and off. But
yeah, it's still a baby. They're still figuring it out.
Yeah.
It's like I feel like the PSVR, along with all the other VR headsets, are still very much in like a beta stage.
Yeah.
Where it's just like
they have a long way to go.
Yeah, it's like very early adopter stuff still at the moment. Where it's just like if you have a PSVR, it's just you got to know you're getting very much a beta situation.
Sure.
It's just like it's still a little clunky, and the headsets feel a little. It's just kind of it's cumbersome.
Sure.
It's cumbersome.
Yeah.
And,
I think there's a lot of potential, and we've discussed our VR extensively in a couple of different episodes that you can go and check out. But I do think that there is a lot of potential. I mean, I've had my time with different VR games and different VR headsets to kind of see which I like better, how they kind of feel. And it is in its beta stage. It kind of feels like there are certain developers who are kind of like testing the waters with certain games, but other developers that are making these really cool experiences. And I think that with games that are coming out now, and there's one in particular that Hav and I are super excited to talk about, which we'll get to later, that I think would extremely benefit with a VR experience, or just like having that capability to play the game, not necessarily using VR, but like to have the headset to full immerse yourself into it.
Oh yeah.
I think would be really awesome. And like you said that you wanted to have that with Hellblade, would have been really great for you.
Yeah, I think that would have been a cool one.
Right. And it's like why not, let's keep the PSVR in its beta, it has some time to grow and whatnot, but in the meantime, why don't we just give these kind of the way that when the PS4 Pro released and certain games had like the PS4 Pro version or mode that you could turn on and off. Throw on a little PSVR mode that you can turn on and off. At least, even if it's just looking at it through the headset and maybe being able to control the camera to look around, very limited. That still would be so much.
It's just like with RE7, where it's just like you play that whole game on a controller.
Oh,
but
Resident
you're
Evil 7.
doing
I was
it
like, what is RE7? Yeah, new game, cool.
It's one word, RE7.
Yeah. ARRY.
But it's one of those games where it's like it didn't have like the full motion control or anything.
Right.
Not that I'm aware of, anyways. Maybe that came later. I don't know. I don't think so.
Yeah,
but it was
I don't
like
know.
it was mostly just like, hey, you can play this in your VR headset with the controller and all that. It's like, just give me that experience.
Right.
It's like,
Exactly.
I'll take that.
Yeah.
It's like, heck, like if I was in a situation where like a lot of times I dream about living in an RV and
down by the river.
Fair enough.
I should just break through that table now.
That'd be amazing. That's a sturdy fucking table.
Good old Saturday Night Live. But like I always dream about living in an RV, and I think about, well, what would I do about like a TV situation? If I could play like all my games, but like with the VR headset on, with my controller, that'd be pretty cool. Like I don't need anything else with it, but I just have like a really dope screen. Like it just feels like this huge immersive world just within a headset.
Yeah.
Dude, that'd be perfect for a lot of situations.
You know, I'm starting to kind of like wonder, because I do like PSVR, but I feel like extended play would be kind of unhealthy. But I don't know, have they done studies in terms of like if it really affects your eyesight, like having a screen that close? Or is that just like the parent's myth, like, oh, your eyesight's gonna go bad? You know, like,
I mean, I
that's
think
how my parents talk, by the way.
staring at a screen in general is bad for your eyes.
Sure.
Yeah.
But like having it that close, like it can't be any kind of there's probably no benefits to having it that close. Let's say that.
I would imagine inside those lenses, there's like, I don't know, there's some sort of studies they do with eye health.
It's got to, right?
But
They couldn't just release like a Virtual Boy, like, you know, rehash and make everyone go blind.
Well, I mean, you could also like, and this is something that I have, is I have glasses that I wear sometimes for video games and if I'm on the computer editing. Like if I'm on the TV for really long periods of time, I have glasses that block like the really harmful UV light.
Yeah, the
that
blue
really,
lights.
that really like puts a lot of strain on your eyes. And it's like things like the VR, like the PSVR headset, you can wear glasses comfortably in there. So it's like you could realistically just throw a pair of glasses on like that and at least take away a lot of the eye strain that's typically there if you're one of those people that do get that kind of strain.
Yeah.
But
you know, it's Macs too, or like iPhones and Macs have the night shift, where it actually removes all the blue lights from your screen and like takes it down to like this like warm yellow tone. So like maybe that might be something that they should probably like put inside as an option for the PSVR too. It's like, hey, we also have this like night shift phase thing.
I mean, developers I'm sure they're keeping all that stuff in mind. But, you know, we're visual creatures. I mean, the way we consume content nowadays, it's so strictly visual in terms of like computers, TV, phone. You're always looking at a screen and stuff. So I'm sure that's always, you know, in the back of their minds when they're designing these kinds of things. Plus, we're making evolution stronger with like our eyes are going to be like, imagine human beings 100 years, our eyes are going to be fucking amazing.
I imagine that we're all going to look like Gollum from Lord of the Rings with like the huge discs because like we're just consistently sitting in the dark watching fucking TV screens. But we'll see what happens. But yeah, so the PSVR is going to be coming out if it's not at the end of this year, it's in the beginning of next year, and it's going to be about like $400. This wouldn't necessarily be the thing that wins me over, but
I think it's just like a minor tweak that's just going to be replacing the PSVR that's on the market right now.
Which this is like the iteration that comes before like the PSVR sleek and slim and pro, and then there's 35 iterations, and you have to keep getting the new one. And that's where
there's the PS5
technology.
I hate it. That's another episode altogether.
Yeah, and this doesn't even feel like the kind of like the iPhone, 7S or, it doesn't even feel like that halfway mark. This is just like some weird in between of like the halfway marks, like a, 1 point.
Sure.
Yeah.
1.2.
Well, I don't know. Hopefully, when the VR situation starts to get legs and they start kind of moving, get momentum, I do want to jump on that wagon eventually. But as of right now, it's still on the prosumer side.
Technology will catch up with what they want to do. Eventually, it'll be like PS5 will be out, and you have your headset sitting on the table. You can pop that on, no cords or anything, and you can just like stream like HD signals straight to your face. And
all that radiation just absorbing.
It's like going on. It's like that scene from 2001: Space Odyssey when they're traveling through space. I'm like, oh god. Well, speaking of technology, This is not necessarily completely related to video games, but I think that this is an interesting topic to talk about because it stems from it. So the Unity technologies. Unity is a game engine that is being run is running games such as Cuphead was run on the Unity engine. We have other ones. We have Firewatch, Super Hot, Gang Beasts actually was
Gang Beasts,
was a Unity game. And yeah, so all these games are being run on this Unity engine. It's kind of like the same thing as like the Unreal Engine, but just the competition. So they recently have made this new kind of what's the word I'm looking for? This app in their engine in order to create a more thrilling and accessible cinematic experience, and to create really cinematic, interesting short films and technologies like that.
Nice.
Last year, they sent out a proof of concept, which they actually wrote out and made a CGI short film called Adam. And this was just basically a proof of concept, basically to show that what their engine can do cinematically, at least, the cinematic creation tools. Which essentially their biggest thing here is they have real-time rendering. Which is basically you can make the entire film, but if you decide that like, oh, I want to change a couple aspects like the lighting, it's not going to take like a whole re-render kind of situation. Like takes like a whole another export phase and having to rework the entire thing from the ground up. You can just tweak it right then and there, and it makes those changes seamlessly, and you can just continue to view it like that.
Nice.
So it's very, very easy and accessible, and it's really customizable in that sense. So they approached Neil Blomkamp, who is the director of District 9, Chappie, and Elysium, which are really great films. I never saw Chappie, but the other ones were really good.
Was Elysium good? That was Matt Damon, right?
Elysium was, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't see that.
Did you see it?
No, I didn't.
Well, he's a pretty awesome director. He also, he's been in the video game industry before. He did the whole Halo short film series.
Oh, nice.
Leading up to Halo 3. Like,
Interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, and you can kind of tell though now, like when you think about it, like the way it's shot and like the security cam is very raw, and there's always like it's kind of this like brownish, like kind of muddy color, color palette.
He knows his sci-fi.
Yeah, and it's super, and it comes like from like because usually we think of sci-fi from this like really pristine and clean and like futuristic, sleek. He likes to take it more like a gritty, like apocalyptic
a lot of
feeling.
his stuff seems very dirty.
Exactly.
There's a lot of just trash laying around. It's just like
in the Vades and Blade Runner, the original one.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like when you think of District 9 too, like with all the slums and stuff, that's very much like the way he kind of makes. So so Unity essentially was like, okay, we need someone who is going to be able to take our tool and really utilize it to its full potential and show what it can do. And so they approached him and his newly founded studio, Oat Studios, to create basically a film. And what he decided to do was he was like, okay, I'm going to take the film that you guys had, your proof of concept last year, Adam, and I'm going to make a continuation, see if that we can make that into a series. So he has already released the next part of that series, which is Adam the Mirror. And then he's coming out probably this fall, sometime a little later, maybe in October. Who knows? It's already a big month. To bring the third one, which is called Adam the Prophet. And essentially, what the proof of concept is this: you are introduced to this character, which is essentially a robot, and he wakens up, and you find out that someone's consciousness has been stolen from their body and put into this robot, and it's him coming to terms with that. And you realize that this is a prison, and that's what they do with criminals in the future, is they remove them from their bodies and they put them in these robots, and that's their prison. Now,
wow,
that sounds interesting. I haven't actually watched this, so I'm gonna have to go check that out.
Yeah, it's super cool.
That's a good idea.
Super cool, and there's not really much dialogue. It's all very much atmospheric, kind of tonal storytelling.
Sure.
And this guy kind of wakes up, or this robot, and he kind of first of all he realizes what the hell's going on. He like removes the cables and stuff from his back, and then the doors of the prison open, and they release all of these robots. And you can see like human guards who are like, get out of here, and you're like, telling them to keep moving and shoot near them, or sometimes at them, and at them. And you see this kind of like prophet character approach, like this kind of like Moses character who's also a robot, but like he's got like a raven cloak, like a cloak made out of raven feathers, and he's like got like all the shaman type stuff. Comes in and is like, come, I will wipe away your slate, and we will now try to live as what you are now. And so Neil Blomkamp essentially then took that was the first story. The second one that he did was now they're like having this basically exodus. And the deal was with this prison is like the people's consciousness is in this body, but they have no recollection of what they've done or their past. So that was like their memories were removed from them.
Wow.
Well, what's the point of the prison then?
Yeah, that's not a...
Right, exactly right. Well,
I mean, the whole point is just like you know what you did.
well, could you imagine though, like being ripped out of your body and not knowing why, and then being put into this robot, and then like not being able to even like piece together like, oh, this is a prison, like this is how I got here. It's just like all of a sudden you wake up from like where you are now, and you're in a fucking robot body.
Yeah.
It's like an added extra like kind of like psychological torture. I feel like.
So they know. Wait. So
This is the synopsis. We'll get into like why this relates back to video games.
They know that they're people, but they don't know who they were before they became a robot?
Essentially. Like they remember bits and pieces, but they don't remember like the entirety of their life. They remember like who they were, but not who they used to be. Does that make sense?
Well, no, because they were criminals. So basically, you're erasing...
They knew enough that they used to be humans. They knew their gender and they knew what they looked like.
Can you break down the entire
That's pretty intense.
short film
right.
for us?
So I'm not gonna do that. But the second
line for line.
Yeah. Neil Blomkamp like made this like huge Bible though, and like created like this entire like world, and he created these kind of like stakes for the characters.
Yeah, it sounds interesting.
Right, to introduce what the second iteration is called Adam the Mirror, and what the mirror is, it's this like this kind of AI robot person who can actually go to these prisoners or used to be prisoners and read what their past like what they were put in prison for in the first place, and we find out that the main character Adam was like a defector and full of treason, and everyone kind of like turns to him, and then that's when it ends. So we're like, oh shit, this is gonna get real good. Okay. So okay, now that's the thing. We kind of went a little too much into that, but the reason why this is important is because now we already see these really amazing trailers for video games. Like in a lot of games that are actually trying to utilize more cinematic quality in their cutscenes, and even like consulting studios and directors to see how can we make this a much more cinematic experience. Now we have a game engine who's asking a film director to come in and basically show off their creation tools, not only to help further game cinematics, but also to potentially bring Unity into the filmmaking front, and now like start to create a much more visually amazing CGI films.
Yeah. Well, a lot of these companies that are developing essentially toolkits for video games and stuff like that, like Epic and the Unreal Engine, stuff like that. They always like whenever there's kind of a new version they're really trying to push out there. Obviously they'll start doing these really cool tests. I can't remember the name of the engine that Quantum Dream uses, but
oh man, I know it. And I can't think of it.
But they did a really cool.
I want to know now.
I'll look it up.
It's gonna bug me.
They did a really
Quanatic,
cool.
right? Quanatic, quantic.
That's not a word.
I know.
But they did
a
really cool little short film a few years back, which eventually sort of became Detroit Become Human.
Yes.
Which, gosh, I can't remember the name of that short now. Do you remember it?
It's
like
I'm sorry, what?
Kira or something like that?
Kara.
Kara?
K-A-R-A.
Yeah, which is, it was basically about this
Android.
it was basically an android that comes...
Dream?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought you said.
But, so it's like, it'd be cool if something like, Unity has this little short film, short series that they're doing that's basically like they're testing their engine, but they're like, hey, let's do like a video game side of this. And they sort of go the route of something like Detroit Become Human.
Yeah, it's this David Cage. Then he starts to spread his trendles into every different...
Well, it's just, it's like taking a really cool concept like that and like, let's make a video game portion of this as well. And so it's like, it's always cool to see like where technology is going. It's like these tool sets are just becoming easier and easier to use to pump out these like just really crazy looking animation and effects and stuff like that. You think about like things like Hellblade, and that's just like a small indie team for the most part,
Yeah.
But it's like what they were able to accomplish. And you think about trying to do something like that even 10 years ago, and it's like an indie team couldn't.
Yeah.
So it's like these tool sets are just getting better and better by the day, and now these very small teams, even of just like a few people, can make something really amazing.
Yeah.
So
true.
I'm always I'm always looking forward to like what the next big thing is as far as like technology and toolkits go for these for developers.
So it's expanding so fast, and it's essentially getting cheaper for people to just use, and you know,
And
indie
easier,
games. Yeah, indie games. Imagine indie games like 10 years from now. You might look at games like Breath of the Wild might be made by like an indie team like
That's really
10 years from
exciting.
now. Yeah, I mean it's amazing to look forward to. So.
Did you find what it was?
No.
Oh, no, never mind.
Sorry.
Oh, it doesn't matter. So I agree completely, and I also think like there's so many times where I like watch these video game trailers, these video game cinematics, and I think like why don't these teams just like make a film based off of the video game as opposed to like these directors who try to reinterpret and adapt and make a shitty version of it. I mean, like, wouldn't you love to see like Blizzard make an Overwatch film, but like not have them like outsource like.
Well, you know, they already kind of do.
They make short movies.
But like a full
like a long
thing,
I mean, they might. Who knows? They
But yeah,
might
at the
do
same
it.
at the same
I could see them
time,
making one.
it's like, you know, as cool as it would be, like if the makers like Overwatch were to make like a feature, like dedicate resources that they make toward the game for a movie. It's like, yeah, it's great, but you know, the game is like. I always prefer like a video game over a movie anyway.
Yeah,
so it's just
same
like,
here.
you know, why why
you
change it, or why try and, you know, recreate something that's already perfect?
I agree completely, but like sometimes like just what you've seen already these companies do to promote their games, like especially like with the Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, like those cinematics are amazing, and I would just be like, if you could just expand it out, you would make.
It's like I want more.
Yeah, like that. I would be so happy if Star Wars 9 was a complete CGI film, but like not like Attack of the Clones or like Star Wars Rebels. I'm talking about like a legit gritty, you know, realistic but obviously computer generated like Star Wars film. And you know, things like Unity, like if that comes into the forefront of into filmmaking, like I feel like that might kind of like open doors to do that, because for some reason Hollywood has this weird aversion from like making a video game film or adapting a video game into a film, but like keeping it computer generated. I don't know why it has to be live action.
It's I don't know.
I don't
feel
think
like
it sells well.
Yeah, it's like the general audience wants live action.
That's so dumb.
Like,
It's
like
so dumb.
I know people that like they refuse to watch anything that's like an anime or like, and I've tried to be like, dude, it's like, dude, like Death Note. That's a great series on its own. Like whether it doesn't matter that it's an anime, but it's like I've had people like, oh, I don't want to watch that. It's a cartoon. And it's just like, or people that like won't play Overwatch because like, oh, it looks
cartoonish.
Looks like a cartoon. And it's like there's just people like that. And I feel like the general audience is probably like that for the most part, where it's like, it's animated. That's for babies.
Yeah.
It's you know, that's a Pixar
But like
movie.
one of the films I can like kind of pull out of the top of my head. Have you guys seen Final Fantasy Advent Children?
I've seen like bits and
I never
pieces
saw
of it.
But it was it came out in the theaters, right? It was a feature.
Yeah. They had the first one, which was like Spirits Unknown or something
But
like
see,
that.
those movies bombed.
That's the problem.
that's true.
Like you can't tie you know, when it comes down to studios, obviously it's always about money, and so it's like if we can't attach a star's face to this, it's not going to make any money, because you know, people aren't going to go out of their way to. What was this, a cartoon movie about fucking anime shit? I don't want to watch that.
It's so dumb. I don't understand the closed-mindedness when it comes to like art forms and like experiencing different kind of stories. Like, why would you, if it's good and it's not immersive, but if it's engaging, you know, of a story, what does it matter what it looks like as long as it's good?
Honestly,
and fun.
I like animated, like the animated DC movies and stuff.
Oh my god, they're amazing.
Or like I honestly prefer movies that are animated, whether it's like hand drawn or like computer like CG animated stuff. Like we were just talking about the TMNT from 2007, that movie. So great Turtles movie. It was so good.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
and
TMNT.
Like, man, give me like 100 of those.
I did like that one.
And the animated DC movies are so good compared to the live action stuff.
Yeah, dude.
Because they focus on like just a cool story versus like trying to get Ben Affleck to play Batman. I mean, he did play a good Batman, but that's besides the point. It's just like
but getting away from that entirely, it's like it's better to watch stuff animated anyway, because you can create stuff so much easier and it's so much more believable than live action. You know,
you can kind of get away with a lot more.
You can.
I think about the DC movies that are animated, and it's like, you can just have Superman in his normal like kind of red underwear and stuff.
Yeah, and it looks totally fine.
It looks fine, but the minute you put him in red underwear,
in real life,
it's like, what is happening? So you can just get away with a lot more. I feel like.
Well, and they also have like more creative freedom to do a lot more crazy things. Because I mean, like going back to the Final Fantasy film, at the climax of that film, they're having the battle with Sephiroth. and you have the music. Oh,
Yeah.
it's really awesome. But they're literally slicing buildings in half and jumping from the falling building pieces. And you're like, you could do that in live action, but it wouldn't look as nearly as badass, and it would also be way more expensive to do.
That's
and it's
the thing.
like, that's why I think like Star Wars film would be fucking perfect in a CGI environment, because like when we see those like cutscenes, and going back to the video games, like I do agree that a lot of people don't want to see these animated and CGI kind of things, but like that's why like I'm like no, you have to watch these trailers, trailers for like The Last of Us, or trailers for the Tomb Raider, the reboot that came out, not the newest one but the one before it. Things like that, they're just like really great. So hopefully, I don't know, I don't know what the future holds with Unity, like bringing in Neil Blomkamp and seeing where this takes them in terms of where films go and where video games go, and how those are going to merge and like have a nice synergy or whatever. But
I think it's just at the end of the day, it's still just like technology moving forward and advancing these art forms. And it's like I just think about stuff like The Last of Us, or like even better example probably is stuff like the Phantom Pain of Metal Gear Solid 5.
Of course.
Where it's just like you have this cutscene, a beautiful, gorgeous cutscene, and then you're right into the action. Like there's no loading screen. There's nothing. It's the seamless transition between an animated cutscene right into gameplay, and it's like that's the stuff that's like amazing to me. Where it's just like if something crazy's happening and then I can get right into the action, it really just like puts you in that world, and it's
absolutely. The disconnect.
Just give me more of that.
Yeah, the suspension of belief, like it heightens that, because it immediately takes you from what you were thinking is just like this movie situation. All of a sudden, like you're in it and there's no transition, there's no break. So it's just like going into and controlling that action. It's like you caused that shit, or you're going to cause that shit.
Yeah,
fantastic.
So give me those dope CG chappy cutscenes, but then put me right into some gameplay. That's what I want.
It's just interesting that this engine that is mainly used for indie games is doing some things like this and bringing these really big time directors, and we'll see what happens. But
I think the future's bright too, because like there's also, I don't know if you've heard of it, but there's a Legend of Zelda fan made short movie about the Skull Kid. And it's like fully 3D rendered, and it's beautiful. It's amazing. That's
what I'm saying. Like these things just probably need to stay in that respect, because another thing too is when you're adapting something, especially adapting something that was already a visual medium into a new visual medium, like video game into into a fucking movie or a comic book into a movie, you run the risk of like having everyone being like, that's not who the character looks like. That's not Link. That's not Captain America, or whatever like that. But if you just computer animate it, you don't have to deal with that, And I just think that they need to take. I'm really hoping that this merge between film and Unity and what they're doing really works out in the benefit for the future for both mediums. I think it would be amazing.
All slowly kind of blending together. Film and video games. Like it's slowly just like it's becoming one.
Yeah. And who's to say that this Adam project, he's already got like a whole Bible written out, and like about the world and about the characters and like even the politics of everything. Like who knows? This may either evolve into a film, or it might evolve into a video game. It could go either way right now.
Could be both.
It could be both. It could be a dual release, and then in order to get some story, you gotta see the other one or play the other one to get the entire
they've done that before.
They've tried to do that with TV shows.
Oh yeah.
And
they did that with
the same.
What was that? Yeah. What was that Xbox game? Nick, what was that Xbox game?
Can you give us some?
That Xbox game.
Oh right.
That one Xbox game.
Not Halo.
It's the one that had the TV show.
That's what I was talking about.
It's like you watch like an hour episode and then you play some of the game.
That's what I was talking about.
The heck was that game called?
I know exactly what you're talking about. I think it was on Sci-Fi.
What is it like? What can you give me what did the game look like? How did was it sci-fi?
It
was sci-fi.
It's all about like reversing time and stuff like that. It's
if I could turn
That's exactly
what. Gosh, what was that game called?
Hold on, video game.
Time Shifts. That was an Xbox game. That had to do with time.
Quantum Leap. No.
Quantum Leap, the video game.
Quantum Break?
No.
Oh. Yes.
Right?
That's ridiculous.
Yes.
That's what it's called, right?
The Quantum Break was the one with.
God damn it!
It had.
I look up video game TV show and it gives me like Iron Chef,
from
the video game.
X-Men. The guy who plays Iceman in X-Men.
What?
Yes.
I don't know
Sure,
what his name is, but he
Quantum
was the main
Break?
character in the game.
I'm looking it up now.
Let's see. Yep,
It's
that's
a
it.
video
Quantum
game.
Break.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Got it.
There's a TV show about it?
Yeah, it's like essentially it's like a TV series, but you like play, like you watch like an hour episode, like live action show in the game, and then you play the game, and then there's like it goes to like another hour-long episode that you watch.
So that's the complete opposite of what you were saying that you loved, is like just seeing the cutscene and then going seamlessly into
this
the
is
action.
yeah.
All right. Well, but I was gonna say though is like, yeah. So it's interesting that Unity as an indie, essentially, huh?
I was just saying, yeah, that was it.
Yeah,
I was reading it. I was like, yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Just confirming.
It's just interesting that Unity being more like indie driven right now is doing something like that. But like on the flip side of like the indie spectrum, we also have games that are about to release called Untitled Goose Game.
Yeah.
Now this is
man.
a viral hit right now. It was basically it's still being developed by House. They also were the developers behind Push Me Pull You, which we had Theo on an episode. He loved that game. He was talking about how weird and like very just kind of random and silly the game mechanics were, and there's not much purpose or point besides just being kind of goofy and random. This game, Untitled Goose Game, is getting a lot of attention because it's basically you play as a goose, as the title would insinuate, and you have a list of mischievous things that you like objectives to accomplish within this like farmer's farm in his field.
Yeah.
So like it basically you're just an asshole to this farmer.
Call it as it is. You're a dick to this
Yeah,
farmer.
yeah.
That's
Like
all
you know
it is.
things like
Just
you know
like every
make the
goose
farmer
ever.
right. Goose. Yeah, geese are dicks. You know, like,
They are.
But it's basically like you know like figure out creative ways to create these or to finish these objectives. Like make the farmer wear a different hat. And you're like, how do you do that? It's like, well, you gotta go scare the farmer to where he like freaks out, hat falls off, steal the hat, hide the hat, make him go find the other one, right? Things like that. They're calling it a sandbox stealth game, which it didn't seem very stealthy because you don't have to necessarily finish.
There's
these
probably
stealth.
like
to hide
there's
his
probably
shit.
some stuff you have to be sneaky about.
Right.
Yeah, like hiding his hat.
There you go. But the developers released a pre-alpha footage of the game, and it's just getting a lot of attention. And I think the reason is because it's games like Untitled Goose Game, or Happy Wheels or Octodad that are just so random.
Yeah.
And like kind of interesting in the way that they're done and approached, and fun, just generally just like fun for the sake of being fun, that it gets a lot of attention. A lot of streamers start to do it on YouTube players or Let's Players, and then Twitch streamers just like flock to these games because you just want to see these people just do like really random and ridiculous things.
Yeah.
in
I
these
was a
games.
big Happy Wheels fan.
I
a
never
long
played
time.
it. I saw a lot of
It's
game
so
footage,
fun.
but
that game is so funny to play. It's just like the most ridiculous things you can do in that game.
what
It's so good.
Tell the viewers a little bit about like what that game
So
essentially is.
Happy Wheels is like, think of it like, people can basically build tracks in that game. They have like all this big tool set, and it's like an online game. It's like a flash game that you can go and you can play, and you can play like all these different levels, and it'll just be
player
like
created levels.
yeah,
Okay.
and then you'll see this list, and people just title their stuff like, make it to the bank, and it's just like I don't know what that means, and it's just like you start this level, and you could pick a weird character. You like a dude on a bicycle with his kid in the baby seat, or you got some just big fat lady on a scooter, and just all this like these nonsense characters,
rascal.
and you're trying to like get to the end of this like level somebody's created, but then like you start going, you like hit a ramp, you jump off, and all of a sudden there's just like a bunch of turbines or something crazy, and it'll just chop you into a million pieces.
Right. So the
it's
game
just,
is
like, it's
basically
nonsense.
you're trying to make it from point A to point B through these user-created levels,
Yeah, the
like
most
on
creative way
a set of
possible.
wheels of some sort.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's-
okay,
it's-
gotcha.
I mean,
Utterly
games,
ridiculous.
Games like that are always fun to watch and play because, and that's why Mario Maker was so successful as well. Because, you had levels where it's like, avoid the stars. And your first reaction when you see a star in Mario, to get it. But, like, they would design the level where if you get a star, you couldn't progress for some reason. Like, it's shit like that. It's like being super creative. It's always fun
Right.
to
Just
play any of
goofy
those games.
stuff.
Yeah.
Like I Am Bread is a ridiculous.
Oh
Another
my
Unity.
God, yeah,
That's another
that's-
Unity game.
Yeah.
Such a weird game. Like,
you just bread.
yeah, just going around.
You're just like a baguette, just like.
yeah.
What?
You're literally, you
Have
could
you
be a
ever played
No,
slice.
I've never played
You could be
it.
a slice of bread.
Yeah,
and
you just a slice of bread.
you just do
Do you
bread
like,
stuff.
Do you move around?
Yeah.
Yeah, you
Oh,
can
okay.
toast
Like-
yourself. You can like roll around in the dirt. You can just do whatever you want. You're bread.
It's your
bread.
favorite
You just-
game, man. You love bread.
I love bread.
It's got these like weird like sticky controls where you can like climb up walls
Yeah.
and stuff.
Oh,
Like,
it's really weird.
It's really dumb. It's a dumb
Right.
game, but it's funny to just go watch some gameplay. And I don't know how much this game, like the Goose Game, will be like that, because it's, it seems like the.
It seems kind of smart, actually.
Yeah,
like it seems really creative and out. Like it's thinking outside the box to do these things.
It's
like,
not
it's a
like
big puzzle game, essentially.
It's not like a dumb goat simulator kind of game where it's like it's broken to be broken, like it's broken on purpose.
It's made to kind of look shitty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This game, like, it looks clean. It, it's like the art style is very minimal, but like it's very pretty at the same time.
Yeah, for sure. Kind of, it looks a little bit like a cell shaded and a low. Was it? What did Theo say? It was low polygon.
Low poly.
Yeah.
Kind of a little like it strays into that territory.
Just like very
Very Nick Jr.
Yeah.
One of my favorite
Nick
parts
Jr.
was like the music, and like the music is like it's basically syncopated to what you're doing,
Yeah,
and it's
like a
all
little
piano.
piano.
Yeah,
It's
like
like
yeah.
It's like
You
you
hear like
said.
the duck. Yeah, it's kind of awesome. It's like it really does feel like let's go see what the farmer's doing.
Yeah,
you
come
know,
on,
and then
Franklin.
you kind of
Or like Little Bear.
There.
Come on, Little Bear.
Yeah, exactly.
Come on, little goose.
But except you're an asshole goose.
Yeah,
Like,
pretty much.
I was watching the footage earlier. And I kind of want to play it. It looks kind of fun.
It's I got a thing for like really dumb animals, and it's like geese and ducks.
I know, that's why I
think
keep
are
Hob on the
just,
show.
Yeah, I know, right? Dumb animal. But I think like geese and ducks are like just some of the dumbest animals, and I just think like they could just walk around. There's like, and it
Geese
just
are
makes
vicious.
me laugh.
Have you ever seen a goose attack?
Yeah,
Goose
they're
attack?
like,
I've been attacked by
God.
geese because
You've been attacked by a geese?
Yeah, they're
or
just
by
like-
a goose?
Yeah, they'll just like start
They like-
chasing you around.
Yeah, they raise
get
their
angry.
wings, just like.
Hey, what's up,
Is
goose?
that how they do it?
Let's
Yeah,
go.
They're little Al Capones. See?
Al Capone, actually, that was like his pact with the devil. Like, he would just be resurrected into geese.
Pressure the sky. But I don't know. I just think like geese are just so dumb, and it's
They
like
sound dumb.
Yeah.
They sound dumb.
But
But that's what this game is trying to do. It's trying to make them smart. They
Yeah.
have an agenda.
But it's
But you
like,
can still scare the
it's like
farmer.
the goose in this game is he's walking around just shaking his butt, and he's
Yeah.
just like wah, wah, wah,
Yeah.
and just it looks ridiculous. So I'll probably play it just for that. But I hope it comes to Switch. Like that's,
Oh yeah, I know.
Looks like a Switch game.
It should definitely be a Switch game. This is going to be released in 2018. There's not a set like release date in terms of like a a month or a date yet, but it's looking pretty close to being finished. At least it's what the alpha footage led to believe. So I'm sure we'll be seeing this pretty early next year. But I would like to play it and talk about it on the show.
Yeah,
It seems
it'd be
kind of
fun.
fun.
Let's do it.
Okay.
We should do
Well,
We'll do
streaming.
some Let's Plays.
Yeah, we should do a stream of it. Yeah,
there you go.
fun.
Oh yeah, there we go.
Let's play it while we just have like a bunch of geese in here.
So
Yeah.
many geese. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
just
actually
the-
going to be a crowdfunding. We're going to try to see if we can get a domestic amount of geese in here.
For every
Domestic
$10, we'll put another 10 geese in the room.
$1 a goose? That's way too many geese.
Yeah,
It's
well,
way
we're
too
gonna
many
have,
geese.
like, a
Hey, it's your
1,000
place,
geese.
man. I don't care. If
You
we
know
wanna do
those
that,
like
mine.
swan dresses that people have you ever seen that before?
No.
Like, you ever seen that?
No.
Where it's like the swan head like it's like goes around your neck and like
Oh yes.
like that kind of dress. We
Yeah,
could
yeah.
wear those.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go.
We're gonna have a whole geese theme.
We got
Let-
goose
poultry
duck
and fowl
theme.
related.
Oh no, I got it. I'll wear the dress. You can wear a Mighty Ducks jersey, and then something
not
else.
invited.
Something else. Oh, no,
You're at the pond.
you could dress up as like Swan Lake. There you go.
Oh,
we're,
perfect.
We're duck
Alright.
goose themed and perfect.
Or
Awesome.
we could just two of us be ducks and one of us can be a goose.
Oh no, I got it. The duck dress, Mighty Ducks, and Ernie with the duck from Sesame Street.
Oh,
Well,
word
there it is.
down. Let's do it.
I
That's
like
it. I feel like a
so
DuckTales.
if we reach a certain
DuckTales.
level on
That's even better. Yeah.
we reach this is way too much goose and duck things we're talking about.
Welcome to Duck Chat.
It's not enough, dude.
Ducker player.
Duck
Yeah,
Dynasty.
I guess maybe we can make that like a Patreon, like
Yeah.
incentive bar. Like I'd be down.
We can invite the Duck Dynasty guys.
All right, guys, we gotta get through some things here. So
Yes,
another big news that's coming out is a game that was super popular back on Xbox and PS2, right?
Yeah.
Was Psychonauts.
It's a good game.
It was a it's a cult classic game at this point now. And now the developer or the creator Tim Schafer has come out and said, "Yo, Psychonauts 2 is finally coming out." This is like over 10 years at this point.
wow.
And it was
Yeah.
like never like everyone wanted it, but it was never something in talks,
Yeah.
It wasn't like The Last Guardian where like it's being developed and it's just
Yeah.
being delayed. It was just like maybe it's not going to happen, but then he was like, no, it is. And he recently released out some playable demo footage of the game. Now, a while back, they released a trailer kind of like just teasing that Psychonauts 2 is coming, and like, those the characters that you know and love back from the first one are returning in all of their goofy splendor. But we're getting this like gameplay footage now, and it looks beautiful. Like it's up to the newest generation of consoles. It has this, the gameplay footage itself shows it's showing off the gameplay mechanics itself and like the platforming as well as the exterior environments. They haven't shown anything interior yet, but like just like the kind of the lay of the land. It's like a very lush color palette, and it looks really good. Kind of a little similar in terms of if Breath of the Wild graphically had a baby with Biomutant. That's kind of like what it looks like. But this is big news for everybody in the community that loved Psychonauts. Now, I miss that game. It kind of went under my radar back in the day, and I was like, I need to play that, and I just never did.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat because it's something that I didn't have an Xbox at the time. I was a GameCube kid, so that was one of the games.
You got a
that
PS2?
I missed out on.
Yeah, PS2. You had to have had a PS2.
Years later. Like
really?
Yeah, I didn't get it because that's a whole other story. I don't like PS2, but
you didn't like it?
What?
it's a trash system.
What?
That's a whole other story. We'll get into that.
Bullshit.
Well, I will say that I was playing more GameCube and Xbox than I was PS2, but that's not to say that PS2 was
Yeah, dude,
awesome.
that's like the best. I mean, that's one of the greatest systems of all time.
It has an amazing library, but I'm talking about the system itself. I don't like the system.
It's PlayStation
I
1.
can get that.
What?
I can get that.
It's
I can get
PlayStation
behind
1 with a DVD player. What?
What? Move it on. That's a whole other discussion.
Wait, you're not one of those people who is like PlayStation was better than 64, were you?
No.
Oh, okay.
No,
I met those people, and I'm like, I don't know if I can trust you.
No,
like,
I mean, I had a PS1 and a 64. I loved both of them. Like, both had amazing games and extensive libraries, but PS2 like changed the game. Like in terms of video game, like
It's
the
in a
industry.
game.
No, it did. Like PS2 was like, it suddenly became cool to play video games with the PS2. Like everybody had one, and it's like the success of that system. Like that's groundbreaking for like the industry. Dude.
yeah, and it had Psychonauts on it.
Yeah, it had Psychonauts.
So you've played Psychonauts.
I did about
And-
12 years ago. Well, whenever it came out.
So give me a little bit of a.
So your character, it's a really interesting story. Imagine it's very Tim Burton-y and Invader Zimmy. Even the guy Richard Horvitz, his name, who voices Invader Zim, who's done a shit ton of voice acting. He voices Roz. I think that's how you pronounce his name, the main character of the game. But essentially, you're just this kid who's a psychic, and you're part of this like circus troupe. But it's really like a he goes to this summer camp for like psychic kids, but it's really like a government thing where they're like testing shit and they're like studying the kids to be weapons and stuff. But it's really cool. Like the some of the things you see like in terms of like circus designs, it's really creepy. And I can't reiterate enough how much it reminds me of like Tim Burton, that kind of style. So imagine weird looking clowns and like balloons and stuff. But essentially, I mean, the gameplay is like, it's a really fun platformer because, you know, some of the levels are really like, not essentially long, but tall. Like you're going up a lot. And I mean, you have really cool psychic powers, and it's just I don't know. It's
And it was like also too like I do remember that there was a lot of humor in the game as well, and that's what kind of like set it apart from other platformers at the time.
Yeah. It also had really funny like ties with like mental stuff, like Lake Oblongata is one of the things there. So I mean, it's shit like that. It was very like witty writing and in the vein.
Tim Schafer and Double Fine.
Yeah.
It's like that's just like kind of his style, you know. It's like things like that and Grim Fandango and
exactly.
And it's great to see that he's coming back as well as Double Fine to reprise and create. You know, this isn't like a pass in the buck kind of situation like with Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts. Like that's not happening here. You know, so they're coming back to design. Hey, what's up, kitty? To design Psychonauts 2 and fuck up the table design.
This can, all right.
But something that's kind of interesting to talk about in terms of Psychonauts is that a lot of the money. Well, first of all, in 2015, Tim Schafer had told Polygon, which is a online video game journal site, told him that he estimated that the game, in order to make the game, that he needed $13.5 million, which is like a large amount of money for a game that like is not a huge franchise, you know?
Yeah.
And so that was like the initial like what he needed, what he wanted, like, in a perfect world. They had a crowdfunding campaign through another subsidiary called Fig. and they raised $3.8 million to make this game. That's how much of a cult classic and cult following this game has. Like,
it did, and
really
it did not
this game.
sell well at all. It only sold like maybe 100,000, a little bit over.
But everyone knows about this game. Yeah. Like, it didn't sell well, but like we, you and like the other 5 people told everyone else. And we're like, oh yeah, it sounds like really good.
Yeah, it's one of those games.
I bet it's great.
It's like it's like the
when's it coming to the Switch?
It's like the Judge Dredd of comics. Like everyone knows Judge Dredd, but no one's ever read it.
Oh right, exactly. Yeah.
Have you read Judge Dredd?
Okay, so they got 3.8. They're case in point. They got $3.8 million. Then in 2017, they got an extra $8 million from Starbreeze, who is now the publisher of the game. And now he's making the fucking game. Like, he's just a little under his original estimate, but not by much. I'm pretty sure that more money is coming in through different facets. Yeah, exactly. So the game is already, the way it looks like it's being really well funded. It looks beautiful, and we're gonna see hopefully some Psychonauts too, like in the near future. I don't know exactly when the release date is. They've been kind of hush hush about it just because they are still in the alpha phases and stuff like that. But I don't know. Since I didn't get a chance to see Psychonauts 1, I would like to have an opportunity to visit it. You did say that they remastered for PS4, though, didn't you? Yeah. I think I might just need to do that. We're gonna have the Psychonauts marathon.
It's games like Psychonauts or Grim Fandango or like Medieval on the first PlayStation. Like those kind of weird, grim type of games that are just like super fun, but for some reason they just don't sell too well. Like they're not too popular.
Call of Duty.
I guess, yeah. But
they don't sell Mountain Dew.
That's true.
Is Psychonauts a mascot game, technically?
I don't know.
Kind of, right? It's got goofy characters, eccentric characters.
I don't know. I wouldn't really consider it that.
Fine. Whatever. I'm just saying, we just need mascot games need to come back.
They need to make a Medieval, have you ever played Medieval?
Mm-mm.
Oh, have you ever played Medieval? What is wrong with you guys? Play this game, dude. Medieval is an Insomniac game for PS1, and it's so good. Like,
isn't it like a skeleton and a knight?
You're a skeleton knight. You're a dead knight.
Actually,
I do remember this.
Well, I will say, I think I played a demo for it like 15 years ago.
That's how I played it. Like, it was because it was on. What game was it? It was a demo on one of the games.
Well, it was like because I got I used to get all these demo packs.
Yeah.
Those back in the day. And I think I had that and Tony Hawk 2 and all these dope games just on a disc. And
that's
so I know I played it, I know the game.
Yeah.
But it's I never played through.
Such a fun game.
Was it? I think it was 2 of them.
There's 2 of them. Yeah, there's 2 of them.
I'm gonna have to do that too.
It's so good. I'd love to stream.
Here's the deal. We have run out of showtime.
No.
Yes.
We didn't even get to the bit.
I know. I know. We have 2 things that we were supposed to talk about today, and that was the Fortnite beta.
I can keep that super short if you want. We can roll right into it real quick.
Skip it.
Well, here's the thing, and we also have the Battlefront 2 beta.
Talk about Battlefront right now.
How short can you keep it?
I can keep it real short.
No, fuck Fortnite.
No.
So Fortnite. I tried the beta for Fortnite, and I thought it was okay. It definitely felt very much like a beta. It was it was kind of it was pretty laggy at certain points. And my biggest gripe with it, and Mick seemed to have a much better time than I did. I thought it was fun. I could see the appeal of oh yeah, this could end up being something good if they tweaked a lot of stuff. But there were some major problems that I had. It was the clunkiest controls I've ever witnessed in my life. It's just, I feel like somebody's that's never used a controller in their life programmed the controls for that game. And you can't change them.
Yeah.
And I cannot stand that. It's just dude, if you just let me change the controls. Just let me change the controls, and it doesn't let you. The controls are super clunky. It's the fact that to aim and the crouch are both on shoulder buttons on the left side. So it'd be to aim is L2, your L shoulder button, and then to crouch is L1, which in the history of games, what game have you crouched with L1?
Yeah.
And then it's so I was trying to look out of a window, and it's I can't crouch and aim down the barrel at the same time. You would have to it's awful.
With your fingers, right?
No one does
but
that,
it's
dude.
it's weird.
No.
It's
No
just
one
put
does
it on the L on L3 or something.
Yeah.
It's or on circle or something. It's awful.
And we talked about this game last week too with the whole PUBG or PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds, that kind of just debacle, and talking about how they had maybe stolen ideas to make their new game mode. But how would you feel about the game mode itself?
It was okay. You know, I definitely see the appeal, and it was really fun going in with some friends and playing it. But there's just like I think the controls are kind of cumbersome, and then there were just things like, Mick seems to like the building in it, but I just thought trying to build stuff is super clunky. I did it, and it helped me win some matches, but I thought that was kind of clunky, and it's just some things they just need to fix. Especially like just letting me change my controls is a big part of it, and then just like your melee item that you get at the beginning, you might as well be hitting people with a pillow. That thing does like no damage, but you start with no weapons.
Pillow Fortnite.
So it's just pillow fight. But anyway, so it's okay. Like right now it's free, and PUBG's not on PS4, so I say play it if you want a PUBG experience that's similar.
Gotcha.
So
Good to know.
Battlefront.
Very succinct. I liked it.
That's 2 minutes. You could.
Now, we have the potential to either go into a very long discussion about Battlefront, because that's probably what was going to happen, or we can make this a separate thing.
I think we can do it. We got
Can we
10
do it?
minutes.
All right. Okay. So, sorry,
you
kid.
scared her.
Here you go. All right. So basically, Battlefront 2 has released a beta. It went public on the 4th, the 6th. It went public on the 6th, but was available for private parties, people who had pre-owned the game a couple days prior.
Pre-ordered.
What did I say? Pre-owned?
Pre-owned.
Pre-ordered the game.
If you go to GameStop and get a pre-owned
Yeah,
copy.
you can get an exclusive situation. And it's open until the 9th, which is actually already passed since you guys are watching this video right now. But I can say that the Battlefront 2 beta, for my 5 hours of it, just I couldn't stop playing it, is so fucking good. Now I didn't play too much. I did play a little bit of Battlefront 1, but they have done just an immaculate overhaul of the game, especially talking about one of the modes, which was the Starfighter Assault. Oof. There was three modes actually on this game. There's Starfighter Assault, there's the Galactic Assault, which is essentially the 40-player all-out warfare, which is essentially you're assaulting the
people.
Laying siege on the
assaulting
you're
people.
assaulting people. It's just GTA Star Wars universe. No, you're laying siege on the on Theed in Naboo, trying to storm the castle, which is awesome. You play the Separatist robots against the clone army resistance. That is one facet of one mode. The other mode is Starfire Assault, which is basically just dogfights, where you can be either the rebel base trying to explode a galactic or Empire Starfleet, or you're the Empire Starfleet trying to eliminate the rebel resistance.
The rebel scum.
The rebel scum. And the third one is basically it's called Strike, which is 6v6 kind of tactical defend and offensive game modes, which I didn't play because I couldn't move away from Starfighter.
Again, call it as it is, man. It's the Starfighter, man. That's the best thing, man. It's so good.
Dude, I've never had a more satisfying experience than playing as a TIE fighter getting rid of the rebels.
it's awesome, dude. And I was telling you before we started, the game Strike Vector X came out on PSN last month. It was one of the PSN games. And the way Battlefront 2, the way you play that game, it's like night and day. Because Strike Vector X, the trailer looked really good. You're in a ship, you're fighting other ships, you're trying to blow them up. And it just does not work. It's really, it's too fast, you can barely aim, it's really difficult to shoot other ships. And then Battlefront 2, works in a way that game doesn't. Mm-hmm. It is so, easy to fly, it's much easier to aim, to lead on your enemies, to shoot them, to actually hit them. It's the way how fast you're going seems just right. You're not going super fast. We're just zooming by everyone.
Yeah, it's relative too. Because at first, you said, you kind of seem like you're not going super fast until you get into the thick of it. And you're like, oh my god, and everyone's flying around you.
Well, it's it's the Criterion guys that are doing that side of things for Battlefront 2, which is the Need for Speed team. So it's they
so
know.
Smart.
Yeah, it's they know vehicles. They know how to make them go fast. It's just they know that world really well.
Yeah.
So that was a good team to kind of
perfect marriage.
Yeah.
It just makes sense. It's
Absolutely.
So good.
And I had never had an experience before with these kind of dogfights. I didn't play the dogfight or the dogfight mode. It was a fire squadron mode in Battlefront 1.
Yeah.
I didn't play that one. I watched some game footage of it though, and I can, like you said, the difference is night and day between those two games. Because in the first one you have where essentially, as long as your aiming reticle is like close enough to the enemy ship, it locks on and you just kind of shoot until they're dead, and you just kind of like have to stay within the general area. In this one, in Battlefront 2, they rehauled the system. Now the camera is much more close and involved. You can actually zoom in, like, you know, which like kind of adds that like really cinematic quality, like just that like
nice little
action
touch.
zoom, right? And you have a leading crosshair. Well, your reticle is the same, but on the enemy ship, once you lock on, it kind of shows you the ship and then a white or red circle right in front of where they're going. So that's what you're aiming for to like lead your shots. And it just feels really natural. At first, when you play the game, everything is going way too fast. You're trying to find, you know, you start to think like, oh, maybe I just need to lock onto one ship and focus on that one until I get to the next one. But I quickly realized after like getting more handle on the control scheme that it's just way better that once a ship passes you, fuck it, next one. And you just like, you just mow down, and like, because there's so much chaos and everything is happening around you. It's 22 players, 11 on versus 11. Plus you have AI controlled ships, so there's never there's never a moment where you're bored. You have nothing to do. You're either shooting down enemy ships as the Empire trying to stop the rebels, or you're either the rebels trying to go into the reactor. You know, expose the reactor of the Starfleet ship and explode it. Yeah. So you have objective base, which was missing in the first Battlefront. It was just shoot, you know, get kills.
You're in space and just shoot each other.
Exactly. There was like the map wasn't really involved. It was just like kind of like this rocky terrain, you know. But with this one, there's the music is swelling. You have your heroes that are coming in, which that was also in the first one. But you have like now like this beautiful map with a bunch of different ships and objectives to attack. You have your AI, you know, Y bombers that are coming in, so you have to like stop those while you're trying to fend off the actual player controlled vehicles. It's amazing. Like, and nothing feels better than to be a TIE fighter and to use your special ability, which is L1, R1, to shoot like the massive barrage of like the multi-fire. And every time you kill an X-Wing that way, I can't help but thinking and hearing in my head the Darth Vader voice going, "I have you now."
I have you now.
Yeah. You're like, oh, you kill the ship, it explodes, you zoom through the explosion, and you find your next target, and you just make people hate that game because you just are having so much fun.
You know, you were talking about earlier, like the blending of cinematics and games, and like this is a perfect example because it feels like a Star Wars movie. You've got the score right behind you, the sound effects are just on point. It's beautiful. And just the sound mixing and design of it's crazy. It's so good.
Intense. You have headphones on.
It seems like a scene from one of the movies. Yeah. It's just like like the scale is really cool, and just like, I mean, and the game looks pretty, but the dog fights specifically look really pretty. Like being out in space, seeing like kind of a planet in the background, seeing like the big star. Is it the Star Destroyer? I'm not a Star Wars.
Starfleet.
Yeah, so it's like just seeing those massive things just like hanging out, you know, just it's I mean it's come a long way, you know, even from like, you know, I was a big fan of Rogue Leader for GameCube, and that game
absolutely
stunning,
that was so
but it's just like I bet if I looked at it now, I'd probably look like crap. But it's like at the time, through those like rose tinted glasses, like that game looks beautiful. But I mean, this is like. It's a really pretty game.
Yeah,
it's more than anything.
I feel like the Galactic Assault was a lot of fun, but it does feel a lot like Battlefield with the Star Wars skin. But what really sets this game apart is its Starfighter Assault, and you know, like I could see there's a learning curve with the control scheme at first, because there isn't like just like a button you can push to do like your, I don't know what the actual maneuver is called, but you can just do like a U-turn essentially.
Yeah, I wish there was a little loop-de-loop, you know.
I thought that too at the
I need
beginning.
some barrel rolls. I need some Star Fox action.
Well, the thing is, I thought that, but like, and I was like, man, I would love to have those options, like push a sequence of buttons to do those maneuvers, but because you have two joysticks, one joystick revolves you in a 360 kind of way, you know, like
barrel roll.
Yeah, exactly, barrel rolls, and the other one is basically, you know, moving in your 3D space. Once you get a grip of those controls and you understand how to use it, you can do all those movements. It actually makes you feel much more badass because you start to
like
really get into it. Yeah, like now you're the one, instead of just pushing a button where you do like the, you know, like you see a little cut scene where you like turn around, you're doing that. You're
Right.
evading the missiles. You're not just waiting to quickly time a button press. You're having to be like, oh shit, I'm locked on. I gotta go and dip through like the engine parts of the ship, go
Yeah.
inside to get myself in a much more compact space so that I have something
And
more cover.
That's one of the coolest things to do. Like you said, the cover.
so
Like if you
good.
could tell, like when you're locked on or someone's locked on you, they shoot a missile, and you just like you're going by the giant ship, Star Destroyer or Starfleet, whatever it's called, and you just make that like dip underneath it, and so like the missile hits that instead of you, and you're just recovering, and you just go underneath, and you can like circle back and get them. It's just really, and it's just designed really well.
Yeah.
It feels
What's,
comfortable doing
yeah.
it, which is the best part.
Once you get a handle on the controls, it's very fluid.
Oh, yeah.
And I can't
Yeah.
say the same on the opposite side. Like I felt like the running around on foot in the other modes, I feel is a little clunky. Like
It was a little, yeah, I could,
especially-
yeah.
especially strafing. You strafe at like the speed of smell. Like
Yeah.
it's so slow.
Speed of smell.
Like it's just like
Never even heard that
it's
before.
just like you're being shot at, dude, and you like go to strafe, and it's like, dude, could you go any slower while
I also
strafing? It's
wasn't
very
a fan
slow.
of the
Is that what you're trying to say? This is very
the crouch and roll was like
Yeah.
the same
Oh,
button.
yeah,
I
it's
didn't like that
weird.
at all because I
No.
kept trying to crouch, but I kept doing rolls instead. I'm like, stop it! Like,
Yeah.
but you have to hold it down for them to actually just go.
Yeah, it was that was pretty weird.
Yeah, it was kind of
like,
annoying.
Like
Yeah.
that felt kind of clunky, and then I never got my sensitivity just right in that game. It always felt too stiff or like way too fluid, and I
Yeah.
couldn't find that sweet spot. And maybe I needed more time to fiddle with it, but I couldn't find just right because I was mostly playing the sniper rifles,
Same.
and
I also feel like you don't do a lot of damage either.
yeah,
Well,
even
especially with the sniper,
Like
yeah.
I would shoot
You aim
people
for the
right
head.
in the face.
I thought that too, but like the more time you spend with the game, the more you start to understand its mechanics and like how its rules, and it starts to make a lot more sense.
Like
and
a
it
head-
kind of you get a little bit more reward to be like, oh, okay, because the game doesn't outright tell you, like, it has your stats of your gun and stuff,
Yeah.
but it doesn't tell you like what the best strategies. You can do any of these kind of things, and you can figure out for yourself how your best playstyle is, like a lot of games.
Yeah.
But once you start to understand within the game itself, like how everything works, it starts to feel really great. Like you know, when I wanted to start doing a lot of like spaceship situation dogfight stuff, and like when I went into the Galactic Assault, there is an option like once you accrue enough points by
Yeah.
killing by completing objectives or killing the enemy team, you can actually spawn in a spaceship, but it's useless in that mode.
Yeah.
Like the thing that you're trying to attack to prevent from hitting the castle before they actually like have their troops storm it. You can't attack it unless someone on the ground shoots it with an ion disruptor, and so you're basically just flying around doing a whole lot of nothing for a while because you
Yeah.
can't even like see the ground troops like to like do a swoop because
it's
everyone's
like
like
little
so
ants.
yeah, exactly, you can't tell
And
what's
everybody's
going
kind of
on.
hiding in that main little courtyard area. It's like there's people like hiding behind bushes and stuff.
Yeah.
It's like you're never really gonna see. Like the only thing you can kind of do with that ship is shoot the whatever that thing
MTT.
is. The MTT. There
Yeah.
you go. Not a Star Wars guy. Sorry guys. I've seen all the movies.
Yeah.
I can't remember any of the names. People are just like hardcore in the Star Wars. I can't compete with them.
Yeah.
It's
You
cool
know.
lore, man.
Yeah,
It's
but
cool.
It's interesting. I can't remember it. My head is filled with Nintendo facts.
That's true.
There you go. I felt like there's a lot like once you do, both modes have their own like learning curves, but I felt like it was more rewarding as a player to it was more rewarding of an experience when you start to understand the Starfighter Assault mode more than the
dude.
Galactic Assault,
Yeah.
because the Galactic Assault you have that all over the place. You can play your Battlefronts or Fields, you can play your Call of Duties and stuff like that, and it's fun, it's great, and especially like when you accrue enough points to be Darth Maul and you just wreck people,
Yeah.
it feels really good. But nothing is quite as good as just being in a spaceship and just maneuvering, barrel rolling that all by your own doing, and like getting out of like sticky situations and just mowing down people and realizing, holy fuck, I just went through a 19 kill streak and we beat the game. Yeah,
it's-
which
it's really
I
good.
totally saved a clip last night of me doing that thing,
Nice.
and I'm gonna post it on the channel. It's already done. It's gonna be up with this video, I think. So you can check that out, and you can realize that hey, I'm not as bad at video games as they say, just the ones they love. So
You mean the good games?
hey, now come on, Battlefront 2 is fun.
But
yeah,
overall,
it is.
I thought it was a pretty good, especially beta. I thought
Yeah,
there was a good
yeah,
amount
sure.
there, and it was very well polished for a beta. There was like
Yeah.
some cool trailers in there. like for the main story mode and stuff, you could just click on campaign, the trail will start. So it's like
Exactly.
That's what I'm looking forward to as well.
Yeah,
the actual campaign mode.
To see how they work with it. Because like the campaign back in Battlefront 1 and 2 on the PS2 was just like more of the same gameplay. Just now you had like a little story element, like cutscene in the beginning.
I don't even think there was a campaign the last one. The new
there
battle.
wasn't.
Yeah. So.
But if I pick up Battlefront, it's going to be for the story campaign. If I play the multiplayer, it'll just probably be mess around with you guys, most likely. But it's something that's like, I think there's better multiplayer games for me personally out there, like Overwatch. I like that more team-based cooperative mode. I feel like in those huge games, I don't feel like I'm doing very much to contribute to a team. I can get like 100 kills, but there's still just like 1,000 people on the screen. Like, I don't feel like I'm doing.
Yeah, that's how I felt with the Galactic Assault. I felt that way absolutely.
Yeah. I think it's just a fun experience though, flying around in like a TIE fighter or an X-wing.
It's like if you're a hardcore
really
Star Wars fan, you know, this game looks great.
Even not just having the headphones and like hearing the
the
TIE fighter and like just hearing the
design.
whooshes and like the passing missiles like come by. It's
cool.
It's incredible.
And it sounds good on my big bassy speakers and stuff. Just boom, just
dude.
So
we should play a match after this.
Yeah, it's a fun beta. I digged it. You know.
So bye. Bye.
Stupid.
I totally am. I'm totally gonna get it.
If I pick it up, it's for the story.
When's it come out?
November. Yeah, November like 2nd, I think.
Something like that. That's the problem.
So,
dude. There's so many games coming out.
You know.
I know. There's a lot of games coming out in October, but you know, I mean, holiday season 2 is just packed, and we're going to talk about that probably in a bonus round or something as well coming up. But
there's so many games, and like we're trying to move.
A lot of things to talk about.
Maybe buy for me. I might just like borrow a copy from you guys to play the campaign.
Yeah, if you can rip me away from the fucking Starfighter assault long enough, I would totally let you borrow it.
I feel like what we should do is each of us should buy a game, and then we'll play it, and then we'll trade. That way we can still all play these games, but it's kind of cheaper on all of us.
Yeah.
Just an idea, throw it out there.
Or Gamefly wants to sponsor
Yeah.
Or
us.
Gamefly if they want to sponsor.
There you go.
Hey, what's up?
Well, okay, so
Gamefly.
yeah, we did go over. We went a little over time today, but just because
Battlefront 2 is so good.
Battlefront 2 is a lot of fun. You have the beta. You should put up a play. You know, you should share a video on YouTube. You can show people how good your skills are.
I mean, I'm not saying I'm good. I just have fun.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think just like you can definitely check out like our gameplay footage. I'm gonna put mine up there for sure. Just like about one clip, about like maybe 4 minutes long, 5 minutes.
Yeah, I
long.
guess I'll do that too.
You should. Why not?
Yeah, I guess.
We should play a game together and like have a split screen situation.
I don't think you can do that.
No, I mean like we can just put split screen.
Oh,
Yeah, we can do it. I can do it.
You can do whatever you want.
Anyways, all right, guys. Thank you so much for joining us for this episode. I know we kept you here a little longer, but hopefully the content was exciting for you as it was for us to talk about.
Battlefront 2.
Yeah, so excited.
So excited.
Yeah, but we'll be back absolutely next week, and we also have a bonus round coming up for you guys as well. Is it this Saturday, Friday?
So the bonus round just went up on Friday.
So tomorrow they're going to get on YouTube. The one that happened last week.
Yeah, so technically when this episode that you're watching right now goes up, it's going to be...
Yeah, so stay tuned tomorrow for a bonus episode, for a bonus round, and then also our Patreon viewers, and you know who you are. Next week on Friday we'll also have a new episode for you guys as well. And we're going to be talking about a little... I liked your idea about a certain amazing an amazing console by Nintendo. We'll see what happens. But anyways... Until then, guys, thank you so much for joining us. We want to give a special shout out to DJ CUTMAN for that amazing chiptune music. And also, if you want to see any of the links that or anything that we've talked about, and follow those articles, we have links to those on our Twitter and our Instagram pages. You can also see behind the scenes of what we're doing at our basically at Go Multiplayer, Twitter and Instagram. Woo! That took a long time to say, but we're here. You can also follow us on our personal Twitter and Instagram handles as well. Mine is Mas Dorado on Twitter and Guillermo_Dorado at Instagram. And for you?
I'm at ZachMatzGanis, ZACKMATZGANIS.
Boom.
Multiplayer half.
Done.
Twitter.
There you go. We also have Nathan at Multiplayer Nath at Twitter. And then we have Mick, our resident
No,
kitty.
cat.
Hi, cat.
We should make Nessa an account as well. Let's see what happens.
Yep.
Now you can follow Mick
Multiplayer
behind
cat.
the camera at Mick to the Wood on both Instagram and Twitter.
Now the cat's playing the drums apparently behind camera.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for
weird
tuning
now.
in. Yeah, I know. So we're gonna go ahead and see you next week. So keep on grinding, and we'll see you at the respawn.
Later.
We love you. Battlefront 2.
Kitty.
On behalf of Multiplayer, Mario would like to send a special thank you to Jaden Lawrence, Arturo Mendera, Mercedan Kroll Pitaru, and Mario Dorado. Thank you so much for watching.